Today, a Redditor shares a story of how they messed up and said that their sibling's kid is not special. We'll get into that in a bit, but first, today I messed up by accidentally teaching my boyfriend's cat that love means shoving her foot in your mouth. My boyfriend has this little chaos goblin of a cat named Magoo. She's a lovable menace with strong, I do what I want energy. Earlier today, she stretched out her paw toward me in that casual, I own you way cats do, and in a moment of pure intrusive thought energy, I jokingly put her paw in my mouth. Not in a gross way, no biting, no licking, just a harmless nom. Intrusive thoughts 1, as usual. Yes, I know it's gross, I fully recognize this cat walks in a litter box, but this was not a logical decision. It was a dumb, impulsive moment. No thoughts. Anyway, she immediately pulled her paw back like, ew, what, human? Fair. I assumed that was the end of our weird little exchange. Nope, not even 5 seconds later, she reaches out her other paw, but this time, she looks weirdly intentional about it. I laugh, open my mouth again because clearly I've learned nothing, and she straight up willingly shoves her whole foot down my throat like she's trying to check my tonsils. I gag. She looks smug. I realize I've made a huge mistake. Here's the thing, I don't think she understands why I put her foot in my mouth in the first place. I think she just decided, oh, this is how we show affection now. This is our thing. Like some kind of ceremonial bonding ritual, and now she keeps trying to do it again. Every time I lie down or yawn or open my mouth too wide, she's there, ready, watching, toe beans at full extension. This cat thinks she's unlocked the secret to bonding with humans, and unfortunately that secret is gagging us with her foot. The truly cursed part? I'm kind of mildly excited to see her try it on my boyfriend. He has no idea. I can already picture it. He yawns innocently and suddenly he's choking on a fuzzy toe bean surprise. I've seen the look in her eye, she's just waiting for the right moment. It's been a while since I've had a cat or really been around a cat, but I can't remember any of them shoving their feet in my face. If anything, all of the cats I've ever been around were like, do not go anywhere near my feet, and the closest you'll ever get is when I want to use you as a scratching post. That said, I definitely think this is one of those situations where it's fun and or cute in the moment, but then yeah, you think about it and you realize, yeah, they do go crawling around on every surface of the house, not just the litter box too, but especially that. New Vermicell4749 commented, my cat doesn't put her paw in my mouth, but she does put her paw to my face and lips and gently caresses/pets my face. This is her way of letting me know that she wants to be petted herself. It is adorable, unless it's in the middle of the night and you're sleeping, and she wakes you up several times just so you can pay attention to her. Inevitableness commented, I'm a heavy sleeper sometimes, but regularly woke up to my baby girl pawing my face for attention. I always knew when I was heavy sleeping because she would up her game to include claws. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy stories of Redditors who severely messed up, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? Our next story is, today I messed up by finally standing up to my manager, and now I'm probably getting sacked. Happened yesterday and I'm still shaking, to be honest. Think I've proper freaked my life, but couldn't take it anymore. Been working this warehouse for about a year now, pays crap, around 12 British pounds an hour, but I needed the job, kept telling myself it'll get better. My manager Dave, he's one of those proper power trip types, got his clipboard and high-vis vest, thinks he's running the bloody country. From day one, this guy's had it in for me. Always giving me the worst shifts, heaviest loads, making me stay late when everyone else gets to go home. Asked him about it once, and he just said, that's how you learn, son, with this smug grin. I'm 27 years old, mate, not your son, but yesterday was the final straw. I'd been working since 6 a.m., it was nearly 8 p.m., and I was absolutely knackered. Everyone else had gone home, but Dave tells me that I need to unload one more lorry before I can leave. This massive delivery that should have been a two-person job, but he goes, you're young, you can handle it. I'm halfway through unloading when I slip and nearly drop this heavy box on my foot. Could have properly injured myself. When I mention it to Dave, he just laughs and goes, maybe if you weren't so clumsy, you'd be better at this job. That's when I lost it. Properly lost it. I turned around and said, maybe if you weren't such a power-hungry idiot, people would actually want to work here. The words just came out before I could stop them. The look on his face was mental. He went bright red and started shouting about how I can't talk to him like that, how he's gonna write me up, how I'm lucky to have a job at all. I should have just apologized and kept my mouth shut, but I was so angry I kept going. Lucky to have a job? Make you pay minimum wage for backbreaking work and treat everyone like crap. The only reason anyone works here is because they're desperate. Then I said the thing that's probably gonna get me sacked. You're nothing but a bully with a tiny bit of power and everyone here knows it. He went mental, started screaming about how I'm fired, how he's gonna make sure I never work in warehousing again, all sorts of threats. I just grabbed my stuff and walked out while he was still shouting. Now I'm sitting at home realizing I've probably freaked everything up. I need this job even if it is crap. My rent's due next week. I've got bills to pay and now I'm probably unemployed because I couldn't keep my mouth shut. The worst part is I know Dave's gonna make up some story about me being aggressive or threatening him. He's that type. And who's gonna believe the immigrant warehouse worker over the British manager with 10 years at the company? I keep going back and forth between feeling proud that I finally stood up for myself and feeling like a complete idiot for throwing away my income. I don't know if I did the right thing or if I'm just an idiot who can't control his temper. So yeah, today I messed up by finally standing up to a bully manager and probably destroying my financial stability in the process. Not gonna lie, I'm proper stressed about this and I don't know what to do next. So I gotta be honest that I'm probably not the best person to try to give any advice in a situation like this. But if OP is as hardworking as it sounds like they are, I feel like they're going to have no problem finding some other work somewhere. I mean, at some point, it's just not worth putting up with that kind of behavior, right? Still Got Moncon commented, "Are you on a 0 hours contract? Do you work more than 48 hours per week? Did you agree to?" He sounds like a jerk, alright. I don't blame you for flipping on him. If anything comes back and you lose your job, go to ACOS. Do you have timesheets or a clocking out system to prove you've been working nearly 14-hour days? Sounds like he's already taking the P, and there's probably some racial prejudice behind it if you're the only one treated this way and you're an immigrant. OP responded commenting, "The work timing isn't documented properly and honestly I'm just tired of this work. It is so tiring and exhausting. And the worst part is the humiliation. I wish if there was something else that I could do in which I could at least get respect for the hard work." This next story is, "Today I messed up by letting my mom smoke with me." So this happened last weekend and I'm still catching flack for it. My mom is 68, uses a walker, and generally has the vibe of a retired librarian who used to be wild in the 70s but now just collects tea and watches British crime shows. She's always been curious about weed since it's legal now where we live, and I've joked about smoking with her before, but it was never serious. Well, she was in a good mood. My dad was out running errands, and I'd just rolled a joint. She looked at me, grinned, and said, "Maybe I'll try a puff." My idiot self thinking, "What's the worst that could happen?" says, "Heck yeah, Mom, let's go." Big mistake. 10 minutes in, she's giggling at absolutely nothing and says she feels like her walker is too loud. I don't even know what that means. I check. It's not making any noise. She tells me it's probably echoing through the cosmos. I laugh, she laughs. We're vibing. We live in a one-story house, but there's a small step up to the door or a ramp a few feet away. I remind her, use the ramp, don't try the step. She nods like she totally gets it, then turns directly toward the step and just stands there for a full 90 seconds like she's trying to solve a physics problem. Eventually, she turns around and goes, "Where the heck is the ramp? Did someone move it?" "No, Mom, it's literally right there." I guide her to it like a baked shepherd and get her safely inside. 30 minutes in, she's now experiencing the full-on munchies. I leave her alone in the kitchen for 5 minutes to grab her a blanket. When I come back, the crime scene unfolds. She's got 3 empty ice cream containers in front of her, 2 generic ones and the nice one my dad buys for himself and hides behind the frozen peas. That man rations his ice cream like it's gold. She demolished it, all of it. She looks at me with innocent wide eyes and says, "I only meant to take a bite to see if I liked it." I ask if she even realized it was Dad's special stash. She goes, "Oh, that explains the peas." 1 hour later, Dad comes home. I try to casually redirect him from the freezer. He, of course, goes straight to it and lets out this soul-deep "what the freak?" And my mom immediately starts fake snoring on the couch like she's been asleep for hours. Now, I'm the villain for corrupting my own mother and letting her get stoned and steal a man's joy. You know what? It sounds to me like she had a blast of a day, sans maybe the extra calories she may not have needed. But I mean, think about it. Should you really feel all that bad about it? She didn't get hurt, and I'm assuming she really wasn't feeling hurt all throughout that. Had the laughs, it got to enjoy the munchies, got to fake going to sleep right as the husband came home. Sounds great. Delenskid commented, "I'll never forget when I was maybe 19 and went to see the band Yes with my dad. He was a full bud smoker in the 70s, but stopped mid-80s when, in his words, it just kept getting stronger, and once I had kids, it was straight paranoia fuel. He decided to partake with me for this awesome concert, and all seemed fine. He asked me to stop at the store on the drive home to grab beer and potato chips. I grabbed beer from the cooler, and when I looked around, I realized he wasn't with me anymore. I went an aisle over to the chips, and he was sitting on the ground, mouth wide open. I asked, "What's wrong?" And he just said, "I never noticed how many chips there are and how bright the bags are. I'm scared to choose wrong." It took a few minutes to settle on a chip that wasn't threatening to him, and we went home. He had a great evening, but his existential breakdown in the chip aisle made him realize he quit smoking weed for a reason. Our next story is, today I messed up by giving my mother my computer while there's some private videos in it. Yesterday morning, my mom, 50-year-old female, approached me, a 22-year-old male, and told me she needed my computer for an online meeting because her laptop had been stolen while we were in Greece. I didn't hesitate and gave it to her. I already had all the programs she needed downloaded because I had done a summer internship at her company a couple of years back. So using my computer was more convenient for her than using my dad's laptop. I'm the only person who uses my computer, and it has a password on it. My desktop is a bit messy, filled with apps, some work stuff, Excel sheets, etc. However, I keep all of my photos and videos in a specific folder so I can easily find them. A few months ago, my girlfriend, a 23-year-old female, and I went on vacation to Poland. I showed my mom some of the pictures we took on my computer. They were beautiful, and she told me we should get them printed and framed. I never got around to doing it. You know how life is. After her meeting, my mom apparently wanted to surprise us. Since my girlfriend and I had just moved in together, she decided to get those pictures printed as a housewarming gift. While looking for the photos, she found a folder containing private videos my girlfriend and I had filmed together. Just to be clear, we don't post them anywhere. It's a private and consensual fantasy for us. We just watch them together afterward and make comments like we're watching a football game. Some of the videos have role-playing, like nurse or police costumes. There were only about 7 videos in total, but almost all of them had some sort of roleplay in them, which made the situation much worse. When this happened, my girlfriend and I were upstairs. We heard my mom scream. We quickly rushed downstairs and saw her throw the computer, but the damage was already done. My mom is a devout Christian who goes to church every week, and now she's forcing us to go as well. After this incident, she made us talk to a pastor about how bad adult entertainment is for an hour today. Basically, my beautiful, innocent girlfriend, my mom has known since the first year of university, is now gone forever because I'm too stupid. I'm just gonna try to keep it real here. I think the real freak up is OP saying in this post, "Now my beautiful innocent girlfriend is gone forever." Like, did she leave because of what the mom did? Or is OP saying like, "Well, can't stay partnered up with them anymore because my mommy said so"? I mean, OP went to Poland with this girl, and from what it sounds, they kind of match their freak. I feel like their mom's belief is far too unimportant that it would allow the relationship to fall apart like that. Our next story is, today I messed up and now I have a medical cup with 3 to 4 inches of umbilical cord in my fridge. So, obligatory, this happened last week. Last Thursday, my son was born. This is my second child, and I've been so excited to meet him. When he was born, at least where I'm located in the US, what they do is cut the cord and then ask the father to come over and cut off a section of the cord left on the belly button. After a few minutes of soaking in my son, helping my wife do the same while they put her back together, she had a C-section, and whatnot, I turned to the nurse that had actually helped me cut the cord. I said, "Hey, can I have that section of umbilical cord we cut off?" The nurse says, that goes off for analysis. Would you like me to cut some extra?" Me, oblivious, said, "That would be great. Yes, please." She comes back a minute later with a medical cup containing the bit of umbilical cord, hands it to me, and all is well. Another half hour or so, we're being brought back. We're just hanging out, and I have a cup of umbilical cord just sitting on the counter at the moment. A little later, my wife's friend is by, and I very proudly show her the cup of umbilical cord. She looked slightly confused and grossed out and asked me why I had this. This is where I tell her that, of course, I wanted to keep a hold of it, just like we did with my daughter. My wife burst out laughing, and after I asked why, she explained that all we kept was the bit that fell off of the belly button once it dries up. I can only try to describe to you the combination of confusion, recognition, and embarrassment I felt. Of course that's what we did. I remembered this, and I asked a poor nurse to just cut me off a little extra for no reason. To the nurse's credit, she was incredibly professional about the situation and never made me feel weird about the request. My wife also found it really funny and kind of sweet. When I asked why in the world she didn't ask the reasoning behind my request, she explained that she knows how I am. I like collecting things like animal skulls and honestly just didn't really question it. Now I just have a container with a section of umbilical cord in it sitting next to my eggs that I don't know quite what to do with. You know, I thought this was gonna go in the direction of like, oh, we saw this service online where you send in the piece of umbilical cord and they turn it into pills that you take and you get all these nutrients back or something. Or at least I've heard something about like that with like placenta. Basically, I thought this was just gonna go down the rabbit hole of OP trying to explain to a poor nurse why they want to take the umbilical cord home so they can eat it. Not putting it in a cup just to have it for later, just for fun. Natalia Tay commented, burying a placenta under a tree is a custom found in various cultures, such as Maori, Luo, and some Caribbean cultures, to create a spiritual bond between the child, the land, and their ancestors, or to symbolize prosperity and future nourishment for the child. Maybe you could bury the piece of umbilical cord instead. Our next story is, today I messed up by accidentally playing D&D ambience while someone identified their dead friend. I work in a morgue where we do official IDs with police and next of kin, kind of like in the movies. I gently explained the process and gave them some time to compose themselves, and then ushered the deceased's friends into the room. And as I raised the curtain, I must have accidentally pressed play on my phone. The last thing that was playing? Dungeons & Dragons Medieval City Street Ambiance very loudly because I played D&D last night. The tiny room was suddenly filled with one deceased person, 2 officers, 2 grieving friends, myself, and 20 medieval civilians and merchants selling their wares, horses, and chickens. I'm so mortified, and I hope I haven't scarred them for life. Can you imagine how that exchange went? Here he is. I'll give you a moment. I'm sorry. Claudia Jacques commented, my best friend told me the story of how when at the funeral, or wake I can't fully recall, of her young nephew, the mother's ringtone went off, which happened to be Bring Out Your Dead from Monty Python. It's a story they laugh at now, but I'm sure it was dreadful at the time. I feel like the unintended horror of what you did will eventually become a frequently told story for those friends. Benatori replied, that's one of those moments that would cause me to curl up into a microscopic ball and then never want to come back. And then if it got brought up again, I would pretend to laugh along while internally retreating to my ball of shame again. Our next story is, today I messed up by not paying attention whilst chopping a sausage. Literally happened about an hour ago. I had finished dinner and my kids were getting ready for bed. I had bought some Chinese radishes to make radish cakes, but left them in the fridge for a few weeks now. They're all soft now, so decided I need to make it now. Well, the recipe calls for diced Chinese sausages. If you know these sausages, you know they're hard, dry, and hard to cut. So I was cutting, and I'm usually very careful, but today my wife was talking to me and the sausage rolled over and flash. I notice a piece of flesh-colored thing on the cutting board and feel the pain at the same time. I just sliced off the top of my thumb. Called an ambulance, and here I am, waiting for x-rays to make sure I didn't cut into the bone. Good news is that I've already hit my insurance out-of-pocket max due to stage 4 melanoma, so no more money. Man, it was like a gut punch right at the end. You can't help but feel for OP. And I'm gonna be honest, I think what OP did there with the knife is like one of my most irrational fears. If I'm ever in the kitchen chopping peppers or onions or whatever it is, I'm usually going as slow as a tortoise because I'm making sure I ain't losing any of my digits. Coach Interesting 7125 commented, oof, my dad sliced the tip of all of his fingers off with a mandolin once. He came in very calmly and said he needed me to take him to the hospital because he'd cut his fingers off and then walked away. Came back a few minutes later to ask why I hadn't gotten out of bed yet. He had said it so calmly, I thought he must have been joking. Sounds like you cut much deeper than he did though. I hope it heals quickly. This next story is, today I messed up by accidentally impersonating a blind person. So this actually happened a month or so ago, but I remembered it today. We were on our way to the water park with our daughter when I stopped by Walmart to get some fold-up chairs to bring with us. I couldn't find them. I found a family around the camping gear and asked if they had seen any. The woman told me that they were at the end of the aisle. I still didn't see them, and she pointed. When I finally found them, I turned to her and jokingly said, "Sorry, I'm blind." Her face dropped. At that point, I realized I'm wearing a big t-shirt with holes in it over my swimsuit and sunglasses. I turned and went to get the chairs pretty quickly, and I stupidly accidentally knocked them over. When I went to pick them up, the husband asked if I needed help. I said, "Yes, please," because they kept falling. When I was well and embarrassed, I turned to leave and thanked the people behind them, thinking they were the family, only to realize they were an older couple. My father is blind and walks with a stick. I would never do this on purpose. You know, OP could have passed for blind here and been like one step just below Daredevil by like doing everything perfectly, but no. OP had to say that they're blind, confuse these people, and then immediately turn around and knock everything over too. Even thank the wrong people on the way out. Our next story is, today I messed up, nodded off at work today whilst I was midway through writing a report on my sales and forecasting, discovered I have a bizarre new talent. Background is that I work from home and have been having some really savage bouts of insomnia on and off over the past few weeks, and I am exhausted. Nodded off at my laptop during work and apparently wrote a very unnecessary summary of the PIP claim process, complete with timelines, in my sleep. Woke up to an open calendar appointment and a fairly comprehensive report detailing things I know nothing about. I have no clue why it merited a NATO response, nor do I know anything about PIP claims. Yeah, I'm no expert, but I really think OP should consult a sleep doctor. Whatever they're called, a sleepologist. I don't think it's normal for you to have sleep NATO response write-ups and PIP claim things. Our next story is, today I messed up by making my own cosplay wig. Obligatory didn't happen today, but y'all should get a laugh out of this. When I was in college, I went to my first Comic-Con. I wanted to do a cosplay, and at the time I was really into plants, and my favorite color is green, so I decided to be Poison Ivy. I'm an artist, and I spent weeks drawing different designs of what I wanted. What I finally settled on was a leotard covered in tiny clovers and clover flowers, a cape made of ivy, and a braided hairstyle that had flowers woven into it. My natural hair grows slowly and isn't very forgiving, so I decided to make a wig. I bought the main hair pieces on Amazon and got all the flowers and materials to make vines and leaves at the local craft store. Now, I'd never made a costume before. I can sew stuffed animals and mend garments, but this was uncharted water for me, especially the wig. I had a general idea of how to build it and what I would need, but no real experience. In the craft store, I was browsing adhesives, and there was this plastic bucket that promised permanent bonding for all materials, the ability to bond up to 50 pounds, and that it would dry quickly and invisibly, so that's what I picked up. My mom helped me sew the leotard and cape, but I made the wig. I spent hours gluing strands of hair, braiding streaming ivy and flowers and leaves, and just making this gorgeous waterfall of Mother Nature. I was so proud of myself for how it turned out. The convention was tons of fun, but it was summer in the southern USA and the AC couldn't keep up with thousands and thousands of people packed into the convention center. About an hour in, my head started itching. I assumed it was sweat mixed with my eczema and did my best to ignore it. Until I couldn't. I went to the bathroom thinking I would take off my wig and rinse my head to feel better. I took out the pins, took hold of the wig, and it wouldn't come off. I pulled and tugged until my hair screamed, but to no avail. That wig was stuck to my head. Thankfully, some experienced cosplayers found me crying in the bathroom and took me to the aid area. There, we realized that, in the suffocating heat of the convention center, the adhesives had bonded to my hair and weren't coming off. I was itching like crazy, crying and panicking, and someone made the executive decision to get a craft knife and spend the next 3 hours carefully sawing that wig from my head. With it came most of my hair. There was no saving it. It was glued solid to the wig. The end result was so bad that the only recourse was a buzz cut and letting my hair grow out again. And by a buzz cut, I mean peach fuzz. I looked like a cancer patient. It took years for my hair to recover. It's been over a decade, and I haven't worn another wig since or done anything permanent to my hair. So ladies, gents, and gender-assorted friends, if you make a cosplay wig, check your materials with the community, follow a YouTube video of someone with experience, and don't buy the $29.99 bucket of Mega Ultra Bond goop at the craft store. Isn't that why they make like wig glue and like other products for this exact purpose? Basically, a very good rule of thumb is if you're going to use an adhesive for anything, make sure in general to use the right one. Like for a lot of patch jobs, people will default to using something like duct tape, and it leaves a lot of sticky, gross, almost near permanent residue on whatever you use it on. Our next story is, today I messed up by telling my sister her kid isn't special. My sister has a 5-year-old, lovely enough kid, but she goes on like he's the next Einstein. Every time we see her, it's, he can already count to 100, or he figured out how the scoring in tennis works. I don't believe the latter bit. I was catching up with her over the phone and she's banging on again about how he's gifted and the school won't know what to do with him. She stops and goes, "Don't you think he's special?" And I don't know why, but my mouth just went before my brain and I said, "He's just a normal kid. He's fine." My sister went totally silent for around 30 seconds. I tried to say something and she went ballistic. Now apparently I've crushed her spirit and insulted my nephew. I didn't mean it nasty. I love the little guy. I just couldn't sit through another half hour of her going on about how he opened his own yogurt pot all by himself. Anyway, now I'm the jerk uncle, and no doubt this will be dragged up every Christmas till I die. I mean, Opie was just being real here. I don't fault Opie. Bitnet Raptor commented, "Pop psych from an idiot here. It's my understanding that praising a kid as a genius is a bad idea. You should instead praise effort. Calling a kid a genius sets up an inevitable problem that they one day won't figure something out on initial intuition, and then they'll doubt their intelligence. When your self-image and social standing is based around smart kid, this ego hit to your intelligence as a gifted kid is worse than it sounds. Don't build a genius ego, build a hard work ego." Oakart replied, "School was always easy for me and I was praised for being smart, but I didn't like anything I didn't understand right away or things I had to work at to be good at. I get to college and get slapped with just barely not good enough for vet school because I didn't apply myself like I could have. I could have gotten an A in organic chem and a B in biochem. I could have had a 3.8 or 3.9 GPA but didn't know how to work for it. My daughter is very intelligent too, and I for sure don't want to praise her for only being smart, but for hard work too, so she can have the best of both worlds." Our next story is, today I messed up by pretending to be my cousin's fiancé when I wasn't. So I was at the train station waiting for my delayed ride, scrolling through my phone and minding my own business. On the opposite bench was this girl about my age, looking absolutely drained, while an older woman, 50s maybe, was nonstop chatting about her cats. Out of nowhere, the girl walks up to me with this burst of relief and says, "Oh my god, Daniel?" Now, my name's not Daniel, but I'd read online before that if someone suddenly pretends to know you in public, you should just roll with it in case they're uncomfortable or in danger. So I smiled, stood up, and said, "Yeah, it's me." We start chatting. I'm improvising like I'm the long-lost cousin's fiancé she apparently mistook me for. Everything's going fine until she pauses, tilts her head, and goes, "Wait, you're not Daniel?" And me, trying to play it cool, just said, "Yeah, I thought we were doing a bit." Her face goes pale. She spins around and yells, "Why would you pretend to be him then?" At this point, the cat lady comes rushing over like a concerned mom, asking if she needs help. And I, being the socially awkward idiot that I am, decided honesty was the best policy. I explained that I thought she was trying to escape an uncomfortable conversation, so I just went along with it. Turns out the woman wasn't creepy at all. She was her actual aunt who just really loves talking about her cats. The girl thought I was her cousin's fiancé she hadn't met yet because apparently he was supposed to be on the same train. She ended up laughing and thanking me anyway. The aunt forgave me, and I spent the rest of the ride wanting to crawl under the seats and die of embarrassment. I mean, in general, what OP did here is a generally good idea. If some woman comes running up to you and says, "Oh, my boyfriend, thank God I found you here. Wanna hang around me for a while?" Generally speaking, that's a good thing to be like, "Yes, I will be your knight in shining armor." It just didn't apply here. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.